Sir John Abbott was probably and still remains one of the least known Canadian prime ministers. He was, in essence, a caretaker prime minister in office from June 1891, when his predecessor John A. Macdonald had died of a stroke, until he handed over power to John Sparrow Thompson in November 1892. So during this 1.5 year period, he accomplished fairly little. He was actually a senator. He had been born in March 1821 in Saint-André, Lower Canada, so now the province of Quebec. He died in October 1893 in Montreal, Quebec. He graduated as a Bachelor of Civil Law from McGill College, now McGill University, in Montreal in 1847. In the same year, he was initiated in the St. Paul's Masonic Lodge. In 1867, he graduated as a Doctor of Civil Law. Most of his legal practice was in corporate law. However, his most celebrated court case was the defense of at least at first 14, then upon release and recapture, 4 of those 14 Confederate agents who had raided St. Albans, Vermont, from Canadian soil during the American Civil War. In 1849, he signed the Montreal Annexation Manifesto calling for Canada to join the United States, an action which he regretted later as a youthful error. He was elected to the House of Commons in 1867, but in 1874 he lost his seat following his involvement in the Pacific Scandal. He narrowly lost the 1878 election, then won in February 1880, only to have his victory declared void because of bribery allegations. In August 1881, he was returned to the House of Commons in a by-election. In 1887, Macdonald appointed him to the Canadian Senate. He was involved in the promotion of several railway projects, including the Canadian Pacific Railway. He was one of just 2 Canadian prime ministers, the other being Mackenzie Bowell, to have held the office while serving in the Senate, not the House of Commons. Canada was plunged into an economic recession soon after he assumed office, and then later that same year he faced another challenge as the McGreevy-Langevin scandal came to light, revealing that Hector Louis Langevin, former Minister of Public Works in the Conservative government, had conspired with contractor Thomas McGreevy to defraud the government. Abbott dealt with the backlog of government business awaiting him after Macdonald's death, including reform of the civil service and revisions of the criminal code. He attempted in 1892 to negotiate a new treaty of reciprocity, in other words, having mutual economic benefits with the United States, but failed to reach an agreement. During his term, there were 52 by-elections, 42 of which were won by the Conservatives, and that was evidence of Abbott's effectiveness as Prime Minister. However, he admitted openly that, or in a statement, maybe a written one or then a spoken one, that he hated public meetings, notoriety, and other apparently necessary parts of politics. 1 year into his time as Prime Minister, Abbott attempted to resign so that John Thompson, an up-and-coming and fairly young fellow Conservative, could take office, but this was rejected due to anti-Catholic sentiment in the Tory caucus. Thompson was a Catholic. Suffering from the early stages of brain cancer, Abbott's health failed in 1892, and he then retired to private life. He died less than a year later at the age of 72.